to vote the way that you would on your party's platform. You're not going to try to help the other party out. So where it says in number 5, how does a congressman act partisan? Just simply put down along with that they vote in the line with the wishes of their party. They vote in line with the wishes of their party. Okay, they're not going to vote to help the other political party out. Okay? Are these making sense so far? I hope.
We're putting votes in line with what?
Votes in line with the wishes of their party.
That's partition?
That's partisan, yeah. The only ones we've answered so far is number 3, number 4, and number 5. Y'all with me there?
Sure.
All right, and then the last one here, as far as the definitions go, you got the word politico. In number 6, it asks you, how does a member of Congress act as a politica? It says that basically combines the roles of a delegate, a trustee, and partisan. And that's how I would put it. I would put down that it combines the role of a trustee, a delegate, and your partisan. Puts them all kind of 3 together. So basically, someone that's politico is going to be someone who's been around a while, is going to be someone who works for the people that has elected him, and it's going to be someone who votes along his party's platform. Chuck Schumer, political. Nancy Pelosi. Those people are that type of individual. All right? They've been around a while. They usually vote along their party's platform. And then they hope they are voting with the people that have elected them. All right? Now, those are the 4 definitions as far as what a member of Congress can be. Now, let's jump up back to the top real fast and answer number 1 and number 2, because they're the easiest questions on here. You already know the answers to these. Number 1 says, as a legislator, what does a legislator do? Guys, what does a member of the legislative branch do? What does the legislative branch do? Makes laws. So very simply, number 1 would be make laws.
Don't they decide if the president's nominee is okay?
Yeah, they approve things. But the biggest point is they get to make the bill. You know what I mean? Emphasis on making laws. And then number 2 says committee members. I don't know how much you guys know about the lawmaking process, but there's steps to it. If you'll notice up here on this board, it says how a bill becomes a law, and you got all these steps coming down through here. One of those steps is called committee work, okay? And these members get put on these committees because of their backgrounds. Like there's educational committees, transportation committees, agriculture committees, all these committees. And anytime a bill is introduced that has to deal with something that they know a little bit about, that is the committee that it's sent to. And what do they do in those committees? That's what number 2 is asking you, okay? Basically, beside of that, just simply put down that they evaluate bills. People in committees, this is number 2, they evaluate the bills to make sure that they feel it's written to where it could be passed. Okay? So they evaluate the bills. Okay? All right, so far so simple. Everybody with me with this? All right, let's drop down to number 7 and number 8. Talk about how much congressmen make and the privileges that they have. Okay? Just to give you an idea, this is a fairly old number. I'm sure this number is bigger now than what it used to be. But as far as your test will go, this is the number I need you to remember. Okay? Number 7 is asking you, what is the current salary of a member of Congress? Current salary says it's $174,000, but that's not going to be on your test. Y'all with me? The number that I need you to know, put down $141,000. That is number 7. They basically make about $150,000 a year. Which in the grand scheme of things doesn't seem like a lot of money for what they do. You know what I mean? But they make about $140,000 140. But like he said, new 175,000. So price of living must have went up in D.C. All right. Now, number 8 is asking you about non-salary compensation. So basically, what is some of the things that congressmen get simply because they're congressmen? What perks, I guess you would say. It says, what are some of the fringe benefits for members of Congress? A fringe benefit is something that your employer gives you that you don't necessarily wouldn't get anywhere else. Like, for example, here at Carroll County High School or Carroll County Public Schools, they pay part of their employer's insurance. A lot of places don't do that. You know what I mean? If we need to make 5,000 copies of something, we can go do that and it don't cost us anything. Does that make sense? If we need to drive to go scout an opponent, or if we have a meeting somewhere, the county will give us a car to take. It doesn't cost us anything. We get to drive their vehicle. That's a fringe benefit. Y'all with me there? So, as far as a fringe benefit for a member of Congress, there's a few of these, but I'm only going to jot down a couple of them. The first one, put down they obviously get a tax reduction. So they don't pay as much in taxes as some other people do. Okay? The second one, they have very low cost health insurance. People in Congress don't have to pay for a lot of health insurance. The government kind of takes it, deals with it for them. And then the last one I would like for you to put down is the franking privilege, and it's on the board at the bottom. Franking privilege. I'm pretty sure they asked you on your quiz for this that I sent to you yesterday, what is franking privilege, so we're going to make sure you got that. All right. Franking privilege, guys, basically is what I told you earlier, that senators and members of the House get to mail letters and other things through the U.S. Postal Office for free. They don't have to pay for postage. Doesn't sound like much, you know what I'm saying? But it's kind of a cool perk, you know what I mean? They don't have to pay for postage.
How much is a book of stamps?
I don't know. What does a stamp even cost now? 50 cents?
50 or 52.
Yeah, so basically for every 2 letters, they're saving $1. Over a long period of time, obviously, that would add up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But a franking privilege simply means they don't have to pay for postal services. They get that for free. All right? And then number 9 is talking about the cloak of legislative immunity.
I like this one.
And this one's pretty neat, okay? I know I already explained it to you, but I'm trying to find it on the board so you don't think I'm crazy.
Actually, 55 cents.
Oh, you got 55 cents. Okay, I know it's on here somewhere. Does anybody see cloak of legislative immunity?
What does that one say? What's one? The ATM. Take them all down to the real person.
Yeah, basically saying that people of Congress have a lot of benefits, make money. Minimum wage workers, they can't get any money. It's out of order. So maybe it's not on here. Should be though. All right, so anyway, number 9 says, to what does the phrase cloak of legislative immunity refer to? Put down that Congress is immune from arrest of misdemeanors. So a congressman will not be arrested of a misdemeanor during congressional session. Okay? They will not be arrested for a misdemeanor during congressional session. That also means that they cannot be held liable for anything that happens. And how I take that is this. If we're driving down the road and Nancy Pelosi piles into my car and it's her fault, the government's going to deal with it. They're not going to sue her or her insurance. The government will deal with it. Does that make sense? She's not liable, or they're not liable for anything.
Absolutely freak out right there and there, and like the government would just be like, "Shut up."
Yeah, here's $1,000 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they are basically, guys. If Congress is in session, these people can get away with a misdemeanor. Now, don't get me wrong. If they go out and kill someone in a car accident, they're going to jail. You understand what I'm saying? That's not a misdemeanor. That's a big deal. Yeah, that's a felony. But if it's a misdemeanor, they look at that as a less severe crime. They kind of just sweep it away. Now, obviously, there's going to be some embarrassment with it. You know, it'll be on the news, things of that nature. But the cloak of legislative immunity absorbs them from having to do that. Okay? And then at the bottom, you have two definitions. I've already actually gave you these definitions, I think. Or I gave you the one that matters, I should say. First one there, the word constituency. Those fall in line in number 4 where it says they act as the constituents' agents. A constituent, guys, is the people that the congressmen represent. So a constituency is the people of a legislator's state. They are the people of the legislator's state. So basically, they are the one that elects these congressmen. Okay? And then number 11, the oversight function. I am pretty confident that I gave you that one as well, but just to make sure. Oversight function, guys, just basically make sure the legislative branch has the ability to check on the executive and the judicial, the checks and balances aspect of stuff, just like the other branches has the ability to check on Congress. But with the oversight function, just put down that it's the Congress, it's their duty that the agencies in the executive branch are working effectively. So the legislative branch checks on the executive to make sure they are working effectively. And the reason they do that, who has the ability to remove the president from office if he were to do something that violates the Constitution? Congress is the one that would have to charge him with it, right? And then the U.S. Supreme Court would be the one that hears the trial. So they're just basically doing their due diligence to make sure the executive branch is working efficiently or effectively. So just put down it's congressional duty. It's their duty to see that the agencies in the executive branch are working effectively. That basically that people are doing their jobs. They're making sure everybody's doing their job. Okay? Now, I'm pretty confident that's about 8 or 9 of the answers to the Section 4 quiz that you already have in your classwork tab. So if you haven't completed that, go ahead and complete it. Okay? And then whatever makeup work for the quizzes that you haven't turned in, make sure you get those to me. I know I gave you the study guide for Chapter 10, but it wasn't a whole lot to it, right? So let's go through it right now, and then we will move on. Some of you's already turned it in, I think, which is fine. Basically, guys, I just gave you a bunch of definitions, and then 2 of the definitions that I gave you today are on it. But you got the word adjourn, special session, gerrymandering, reapportionment, off-year election, constituency, and oversight function. I'm not going to define all those again. You know, they're literally in your notes, so you have that, okay? The next part, it's asking you the size and basically the characteristics of both houses in Congress. Do you have all that information as well? Yeah, that's Section 2 and 3. And then 1 through 4 is literally questions from Section 4. What does the legislative branch do? Well, they make the laws. How much money does Congress make? About $140,000. What is a franking privilege? Free postage, right? What does the cloak of legislative immunity mean? It means they can't be charged with a misdemeanor during a congressional session. So literally, you have all that. That'll be part of your test. Does that make sense? You'll turn that, I'll check that once you do your test. I will be sending you your Chapter 10 test tomorrow. It will be due Thursday night. The reason it will be due Thursday night is because I have to do all this with my B-Day students as well. Does that make sense? So you'll have 2 days to do it. That will be the last grade that goes into this 9 weeks, Chapter 10. So everything from Chapter 10 quiz-wise and before needs to be turned in before Friday, because the last grade you will receive is the Chapter 10 test. And then we'll start over for the next 9 weeks. Okay? So does anybody have any questions about that? Does that make sense? We good to go there?
You said it's due on Thursday night. Are you
Thursday
assigning
midnight.
anything else Thursday?
No. No, I'm going to
Friday will be a
assign,
new thing?
I will send you your test tomorrow,
Yeah.
and that's it. You won't hear any new stuff from me until Friday, and it won't. And none of that will be due until Monday because we'll start the 9 weeks over again. So your last grade for the first 9 weeks will be the Chapter 10 test. All right. So basically, now that you know that, everything before the Chapter 10 test, you need to make sure you've got turned into me. Has everybody got that? If you need to work on some of the current events, and I know a lot of you do, you haven't done that yet.
Do you do the same thing twice?
No, it's because it's so short. That's why I make copies of them. And again, guys, I think I told y'all that when I sent you your study guide, it had 2 copies of it, right? If you do both copies of that, you're not paying attention to what you're supposed to be doing because they're literally the same thing. When I printed these out and handed them out in class, I just cut the paper in half. Y'all got that? So just do one of them and then you're good, okay? All right, so is everybody clear on what we kind of need to be doing right now? You got about 30, is it 20 minutes left, 30 minutes in class?
30.
So go ahead and if you're missing something, get it turned into me. If you need to work on those current events, get them turned into me, okay? So everybody got me?
Sir.
So get on it, all right?